Alright, started back day out with some lat pull downs. These were a little bit slower and controlled. The video sped up for the sake of time, but here I'm just really focusing on the stretch at the top and then that contraction there at the bottom. Went right over to the seated row, did these single arm. Again, video sped up just a little bit for sake of time because I was doing these to get warmed up more than anything, not so much for the heavy weight. Focusing on the stretch and contraction at the bottom. Did about 15 on each side as a warm-up set, and I did about 4 sets of each of these workouts, maybe even a 5th one of the lat pull downs, just to get my back going before we did some compound movements. Next we have these lat pulls. I don't know exactly what they're called, but I call them a lat pull over variation. Doing these with a close grip bar, and the goal is to keep my arms slightly bent. That way I'm keeping full activation in my lats as I go up to the top, a nice stretch, and pulling down and squeezing at the bottom. Again, this is full lat activation and really shoulder stability. And here I like doing this on the neutral grip chest press. This is kind of a standing single arm row, so some gyms have machines that are meant to do this, or they have a high seat. Unfortunately we do not, so I make my own variations, and then just a slight turn so that way I get a bigger stretch in my lat because of lack of motion in this machine. But really a great overall exercise for hitting the lats and a little bit of the rear delt here. And this next one here, we have a variation of a bent over row on this machine here. I did a drop set, but did about 12 and 12, 12 with 2 plates, 12 with 1 plate. I like to walk my feet down to the ground on this one rather than keeping them up on the platform. Just feel like I'm able to get a little bit better stretch because of my height. This machine is not adjustable based on height other than the 2 separate foot platforms. So we make our own variations here. Again, one of my favorites just because I'm able to get a big stretch at the bottom and round my lats over and then get that nice squeeze and contraction at the top. And so I was supersetting those lat pull overs or bent over row variations with these overhead tricep extensions. Do these single arm with the dumbbell. This is kind of one of my go-to tricep workouts for whatever reason. Probably because I can move a little bit more weight than a standard kickback on these. But again, just focusing on a big stretch, flaring my lats, opening my chest up, and really allowing my tricep to take over this motion. Then finally the platform cleared up. Not doing deadlifts, doing bent over barbell rows. Typically I do these with a bottom rack support, but forcing myself to hold the weight up is good on my hamstrings and the rest of my back development. And more triceps. I love these single arm triceps. I do a lot of single arm tricep work, and I think the reason for that is just because I feel a better contraction when I'm able to focus on each individual arm. So here you see I'm using a V-bar, which would be used for a double arm tricep extension, but I'm utilizing the hand variation, opening my hand up a little bit wider, which is forcing my tricep to take a little bit more of the load, along with forcing my grip to stay incorporated as well. So really like these, and didn't speed these up so I could show you guys the tempo of some of these exercises before I swap over to the left side. And as you see here, I actually did drop sets with these, so you'll be able to get a little bit more detail on this left side. And so the reason that I'm bent over kind of at a 90-degree angle there is because I'm trying to keep the weight as far out in front of me as possible, putting a big stretch on the short head of the tricep, and you see running into the rear delt there on the back side. So really allowing as much activation, as much contraction more than stretch on this one, but of course we are getting the stretch by forcing our arm to stay out in front of us, and the weight does get heavy here. As you see, these slow reps really do make the difference. You don't always have to do heavy weight. I promise, slow and controlled will force your muscles to grow. And like I said, I prefer the single arm tricep movements. Even here on this double arm machine, I do stand over, hover over it, and do a single arm press down. The reason I prefer this machine standing is because it allows me to stand over the weight a little bit more rather than put the weight out in front of me. Kind of the opposite variation of what you saw on the cable press downs right before this. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave those in the comment section. I'll be sure to get back to all of those as soon as possible. If you like the video, be sure to like and subscribe. Turn on that bell notification, that way you get an update each time I post a new workout video.